Hey everyone, welcome to my new build. This is my Mandalorian 1 to 12 Beskar Armour version, Bandai. It is the silver coating version of the model. There's actually two available, and I did get the splurge for the silver coating. Not an inexpensive option in Canada, but I was really keen to see just what that looks like. And so yeah, we'll be able to see that. I did also record an unboxing video that you might be able to watch if you're curious about watching some of the details of what's in the box. I kind of go through all that there, and you can see it. In this video, I'm just going to get really right to the build. So just getting started on, of course, the little his little weapons, and just because I want to be able to. There's a few pieces here that make a lot more sense to put together. The sword's not one of them. The sword's one piece, but might as well have it out, and then that way I can prime. I can actually just sand down the little spots where it was attached to the sprue tree, and just get a nice finish on that blade. And that's the main part. It was actually just connected to the butt of this, so that can just be sanded a bit too, and that'll be my spot where I'll be able to just connect on for painting. So that'll be able to get that primed. I've also decided on the sword to prime with a light with my white. That's the Badger white primer on that, just so I can get a nice light coat for the outside. Obviously there is a black part in the middle, but that I can easily achieve a black over a white primer just with a few coats of XF2. If I'm doing white primer there, I may actually do it on the gun as well. The gun doesn't really much matter. It's got so many different colors that it just needs to get some primer on there, so I've got something to work from. But I do want to get this piece put together on there first, because it's one piece. I don't want to be painting and getting any risk of this not sealing nicely in advance of that. So that's why I'm just cutting out a few pieces here and getting set to do that on the torso piece. So pretty straightforward build. I have actually glued it together. Just very little bit of just my favorite plastic magic, just a really light bead kind of along the areas. The reason for that is just that there are sort of these little seams the torso here that I just want to fill before I prime, just so that we don't have a crap. I mean, nobody's probably likely going to see these because you're going to have a cape on here, and you know, it's unlikely. But mind you, actually, these ones actually could well be seen. In any case, just part of my, I just want to get it as good as I can. So that's one thing that I'm adjusting and getting it ready for that. And so then what I'm going to do is actually apply a little bit of my putty in here, and I'm just going to put just a little bit along these seams here, and just basically rub it across. That's all it really takes, because it's not much of a crack, but it's a little bit. This putty is really great. I've probably mentioned it before. If you've ever seen any of my others, I really love it. I have a few. This fine point one is really nice. I have other sized versions of this as well that are great too, but this little pointy one I really like. It's actually made out of marble. Yeah, water-based marble dust. Dries to a hard surface which can be painted, sculpted, cut, fill in seams, and build up and correct details. Oh, can be immediately painted, and it sticks to everything. It's amazingly great stuff. Anyway, and then I just want a little bit along this top area here. Now this is a little bit trickier because, again, we've got these ridges going this direction, which we want, but it's that one along there that we don't, which is kind of what we've achieved by just, as long as you rub in the right direction, you kind of get what you want out of that. Yeah, so that's the idea. So then it just gives us a nice, just nicer, you know, they've been sanded and filled and ready for our primer paint. Hey everyone, just thought I'd give you a quick update. So I've been obviously working away at finishing all the little sort of sub-assemblies here, and just so that I can, when I'm painting, well, priming first here, number one, all of the possible seams on pieces that are sort of single units are painted kind of together, so that I've obviously, as I think I've shown already, or you've probably seen, have been busy filling and sanding all of the seams to make sure they're going to be nice and smooth, so that we don't have kind of any, I just want to be really nice and clean pieces. So these will be all ready for that. I've got kind of it ready. You'll recall there's just a couple of pieces. This one that's a different color. This one that's a different color, and then this piece entirely that's, sorry, not that one. Where is it? Oh, this one, sorry. So this piece itself is a different color, and then of course the background is also a different, you can see it's more that chocolatey, or the milk chocolatey brown color. I have done a lot of taping, so I've sealed off all of the, anywhere where there's a ball joint or any kind of joint, and anywhere where there's a socket, so that there's less risk of, this one I actually have to do a little bit more taping off on some of these spots. But anyway, that's all underway. Have all the different various pieces, including both of the alternate hands now. I've also, you'll notice I've labeled all of them. They're all labeled, whether they're left or right legs and arms. Not that you could probably determine that by looking at the instructions, and we could, you know, kind of retrace it out, but it just saves a little bit of headaches possibly, and that'll just let me be able to identify them from the show and from source reference. These are kind of cloth materials, and so I'd like to kind of replicate that sort of look in any way that I can, and that's something I'm going to be trying out there. And then I'm going to be using a couple of different colors. It turns out that this is actually all the pieces on this sea sprue tree. So remember how I marked out the ones that aren't used? Well, it turns out that's once I built the arms and the legs, and then the chest and the torso, that's it. There's nothing left on this sprue tree. So this won't need to be painted in this format. And I'm glad I did that, because, as I say, there are, you know, lots of little spots where there were sprue tree connections where you can see that they needed sanding and filling, so that we don't have that. There's an example there, a pretty dramatic one, where it was, you know, that would have been a pretty big divot if we didn't do anything with it. So, just finished kind of a marathon priming session. Did a bunch of, well, everything's primed. So first batch that I did was a sort of lighter brown color. All the pieces that had that, it's kind of like the gun stock color, light brown color. And so all of these pieces got this sort of gray primer. Colored pieces, these were the blue, sort of that light blue, purpley blue color. So they, I just primed them white, and then they'll be ready for that color. And then these two guys are the gray, the sort of the gray color that we've got there. So got them white as well. And then I did actually two on the sword. I primed the blade section white, as you can see, and I had previously, actually I'm going to take that off now. Handle ended up primed there, and then and now the blade itself. So the middle part of that blade is going to end up getting painted black anyway, and I will be putting some little shinier white around those edges and getting that to look, it's going to be a combination. I'm going to be doing a white but with some really glittery silver in there on that. The more sort of darker chocolatey color, the sort of more browner color, all got black, and that worked really great. Yeah, so tons and tons of black pieces. All the rest of the pieces, including the gun here, you can see got primed. Even though it's going to have there's a lot of different colors on there. This gets me started. That's the main, having that black there I think is a good base for that guy. As with the rest of these guys, they're all ready to get started here. So that's pretty exciting. I'm going to mix up some paints here tonight. Just in case you're wondering, and I think I mentioned, I did use my favorite brand of primer, and that's the Badger. So I'm just going to do a little bit of experimenting with creating my Darkblade white glow here on the sort of perimeter. So basically it's going to be white, but I'm going to be adding just a little. I have this really sparkly chrome silver. It has really big grains in it, and I'm just going to add just a small amount to give it a little bit of sparkle. It just lets that's the consistency I'm going to want here, so I might as well get it a little wetter so I can get that mixed a little better. Yeah, so you can see it's kind of a different shade, right? Different shade of white going on here, that's what I want. So out of the paint booth, and it came out really good. The paint job looks great, and it did, it just took a little bit off. You can definitely see some glitter, so let me just see if I can zoom out there a little bit. On certain angles, as you sort of spin through the light, I hope you're able to see that. I mean, it's very subtle, but you can definitely pick out the little glitters going on there. But it's not exactly, the trade-off is, of course, it's not quite exactly white. What I'm going to do is just get some paint kind of on the edge of a toothpick here, and I'm just going to kind of run it along like that. So I like that. Extremely subtle, but you know what? It is actually slightly noticeable. Like just as you're swinging it around like that. We'll see once it's totally dry. It's still a little bit damp, so I don't want to say for 100%, but I think it might look good. And the other thing you got to remember is, of course, I'm going to be taping this off, and that middle part's going to be pitch black. So that's going to obviously make the white pop. So, just doing a bit more work on the dark sword here. And as I mentioned, I think yesterday, I am just taping off now. So I've got the sort of silvery white perimeter. And so just on this side, I've gone through and just zoom up there a little. Just kind of very carefully just masking off that rim. And then this is going to get my black, deep matte black to kind of give it. So that's going to really make the silver white pop. And I have just been really careful. There's actually even a really fine point where it actually comes into the hilt. So it comes out. So I do have a little piece there as well. So finished on this side and just going to start on this side the same process. Very carefully laying in the mask here and getting it ready for that. Actually, usually like to use a little bit rounder when I'm doing that kind of edge work. This is actually a tool I use for this kind of thing all the time. It's actually a putty knife, but I never actually really use it for that too much. Well, once in a while, but rare. It's more great just a little tool for kind of pressing things. Today I'm going to be using the aluminum here. I'll probably, while I'm at it, actually tape off for the pistol too. There's a little piece of silver here at the tip. This part right here on the sort of tip there is also has a very similar silver, so I'm going to actually tape that off. Yeah, so, and that just that really just leaves us a little, it's just making a kind of, well, it's masking off that tip, but just kind of letting me just find the level by just kind of dipping there into it. I'm just adding some coats. Remember, I've got my sort of liquid mask here, so let's see if we can get, and this is, I'm experimenting with a new make, so I'm hoping, yeah, that worked pretty well, I think. I'm happy with that. Looks like we got a pretty nice line there, which is what I wanted. Now it's got a slight bit of there. Perfect. Yeah, that turned out actually really pretty well there. That's a tricky line, as you know. That's why I end up using the liquid mask, because it's not a, it's a difficult area to be able to mask off with that sight piece there and just everything. It's kind of, so I'm glad that appears to have worked pretty well. The handle will be painted brown as well here, so that's next. Coming up here. Got a lot of browns, so. I had a long piece of tape here. Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah, that's perfect actually. I love it. Let me just, oops. Still zoomed up there, so you can see the line came out kind of just great. So let's just get to the next one here and see how it came out. Last but not least, beautiful. Another beautiful line. Those came out great. So I actually have just gone ahead and was just experimenting with this gold. having lots of fun here. So I just thought I'd show you. So I worked on the scope, and I'm actually really happy with how that's turned out. Actually, let me just zoom you in there a little bit. You can see that very well or not, but the two little sort of clip pieces, which are the gold pieces that we want on there, they now have a little bit of gold on there, and I actually was able to. I just used a combination. I had this little Q-tip that I was just grabbing a little bit on the tip, and then just being able to just kind of apply that in there, and sort of like painting it on, I guess, basically, and worked really great. Actually really happy with how that looks, and I had to be a little bit delicate coming along these top edges, because I wanted the top edge of the clips to be gold as well, which I think you can see there. So that took a little bit of very delicate, but what's really nice about this particular paint or glue, or sorry, wax, so I have a couple of little teensy little guys that you can actually go in. I actually, on a couple spots, like you can see, here's another one where there's just a little bit of that gold there. You can sort of take it off. Here's actually a little example right here. See? And the other option I did actually even probably more of was just use a toothpick on, just like that. So you can see that's cleaned that up perfect. And same with on these little edges. I went a little over. I was able to just go along and clean that line up just like that. So it's pretty handy. So far I'm kind of a fan of it. There, so now I'm kind of happy with how that's starting to get that sort of more black gunmetal. A little bit more black on that guy. I think that's looking good, and I'm just going to give it a little more. Yeah, I think that looks better. So I'm just actually just spraying, just misting the top of the, just mixing some black in over top. Actually, it's not even a mix, it's just black going on over top of the aluminum color I was using. And I just like that effect that I'm getting, where it's sort of it sort of almost looks black, but it's, especially if you get it in the light, it can look quite, it has a definite metallic sort of, as I say, sort of nice color. Yeah, that looks awesome. Really great. Just perfect. So the line is perfect, and then let's just grab this side, make sure we similarly got, yeah, just awesome. So I think you can see that. Let me just zoom in there. Yeah, the line's perfect on both sides. It's really, really nice. Just what we wanted there. Just finishing my Mando main bodysuit armor color, not armor, just the jumpsuit color here. So I've got 40 drops, 2 mils of the brown, dark brown, and then 20 drops or 1 mil phthalo green, and then I'm just adding the same portion of the hot pink. So 20 drops of this as well. In the instructions, they talk about using purple with black, black and a drop of yellow. It comes out to a similar color, but just a lot darker than this. This is, I think, a much more accurate, for my purposes anyway. It's just going to look, I think, a little more what I'm looking for. It's going to come out looking like this one. So that's the right. That's a right color. If I have a lot of sort of reference photos, and in the lighting conditions we've got right here, this is the right exact color. You have to imagine, though, without the white, it gets hard to see it when there's white around it. But that's the color of his, kind of that fabric of his jumpsuit. I tried, as you can see there, a few different combos to get to the one I want. Good, so that's that. Hey guys, so just going to be heading into the paint booth here. I mixed up one of the browns that I'm going to be using. It's kind of a little bit of the darker brown. It's designed for kind of all of his belts, and any of the sort of dark leather parts are going to have this this color. So I've kind of got all those pieces kind of set out here and ready to go. So that's all the belt parts, including his holster, the back, and his little packs, the little pieces. All those are going to get that color. So they're ready to go, at least on the base coat. There's obviously some other colors that'll be going on those, but just to get that laid down. I was toying with using it for the both the butt of the his rifle, and on the little hand blaster handle. But I think I'm going to go with slightly lighter brown. I'll be mixing up a lighter version of this kind of brown, and I think I'll go with that, just looking at the reference. I know some of the model photo certainly looks pretty dark, but I don't think that really completely matches with... it's just a little darker than what I think I want to go with, so I'm going to go with a lighter one. So not doing that at this point. I did go and add the silver additional, just really fine silver rings just underneath. There's this part's already been painted silver, and then we added the gunmetal black over that. Well, taped it off and then added that, and then I just added on the silver over top of that so that we could get those nice little rings there. It is not all one color. We wanted to kind of break that up, and so that was just very delicate. Got out the very fine toothpick there and just really slowly added those lines around there, and I'm really happy with how that came out on those. So yeah, moving along here, just gonna head into the paint booth here. This has already been thinned down. I'm using the exact formula I used was pretty much from the book there, just with the Tamiya version of that. So that includes using the equivalent of sort of the wood brown, which in Tamiya roughly for me was XF52. It's maybe a little darker than the actual reference color, but really close. And then so that's 60% of that. And then just regular brown, which is my equivalent is XF79. That's a direct reference across to that color. That's just 10%, and then 30% of just flat black. So I'm just going to mix up our gray for the sort of waist armor parts, and in fact the sort of the hip pieces. All these ones actually. So you can see the two hip pieces that kind of hang off his side, and then his waist. These are the parts that go around his sort of his waist area. This one's on his. These are the ones on his knee, and they also have that same kind of gray color. So all of these guys are going to get that same grade that I'm preparing now, and yeah. So I was just gonna mix that up. So what I'm going to do is put in 20 drops of the white. 10 drops of the purple. That's a deep purple in this brown, and then just their deep black as well. Put 10 of them in it well. These ones you don't thin at all, and so that's why I have to make a bit more. That's why you have to kind of, you know, making a little bit kind of bigger batch than I would for Tamiya, because Tamiya, of course, you have to, you know, you add quite a bit of thinner to make it run through the airbrush, whereas this stuff's airbrush ready, so I have to prepare all that I need right away. As you can see, this turning just into our gray, but it's kind of got a hint of purple in the gray, which is, it's accurate. It's pretty much a dead ringer, I think, for that that color that they're talking about. It comes out that looking like that.